Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am going to be showing you guys how to do this dresser right here and what I did to achieve this look on the dresser. If you guys like, stay tuned. I ended up going with the one to the very right at the bottom. It's called Under the Sea. And this is what it looked like before we had did anything to it. We had started by removing the doors, the hinges, and the knobs of the dresser. And we had went back and wiped everything down. I had wanted to make sure that it was nice and clean before we had put the primer on it, which I think that I could have skipped this step. I could have went ahead and sanded first, which I am doing now. I ended up making sure that it was nice and smooth. That's why I keep going back over those scratches on the top, just so they don't end up showing through the paint. And I ended up flipping it over just to make sure that I end up getting the front edge nice and smooth. And then I end up going and doing the sides. And the sander that I'm using is from Black & Decker. And it is a pretty good sander. I've been using it for a little while now and on some other small projects that I had. I do recommend, if your project does have a lot of scratches in it, to start off with an 80 grit and then go down from there. But the sandpaper that I had used for this was a 120, which I was recommended in another video. So I kind of just used another video for a reference. And then I had went back and got this door that had a chip in the side of it. And it wasn't allowing the door to close right just because the hinge wasn't able to screw in right there. So I had made this paste with a little bit of the Tried Bond and some of the dust from the sander, and I had gotten that and made a paste and went ahead and put it in there and sculpted it to the way that I wanted and make sure that it was nice and smooth. Okay, I had set that to the side to dry for a little while, and I had went with this Bare multi-surface primer that I was recommended when I had went and bought my paint. And the paint that I am using is a cabinet paint, and both the paint and the primer, they're both from Bare. And I had went ahead and made sure that I had went over all the surfaces and wiped it down once again after doing the sanding, just because I didn't want there to end up being dirt inside of my primer when I had did it. I wanted the surface to be as smooth as possible. So I'm making sure I get all over in there. Okay, once I was done priming the whole dresser, I had went ahead and grabbing the doors and started to prime them too. And I had wanted to make sure that I had gotten everywhere, and I wanted to do it kind of quick, so that's why I had used the roller. I didn't want to get too much into the grooves on the dresser just because I didn't want them to end up losing their shape. And I didn't want to use a brush just because I didn't know if it would mess up the brush that I had. And I had only had one brush, which I wish I had gotten two so I could do certain things like this. I had used these two cans to kind of prop the doors up a little bit, just to make sure that I was able to get under if I needed to, or different angles. And I had first started by painting the corners and stuff, and then I'm just doing the door the same way that I had did it last time. It was a little bit easier doing the insides of it first and then doing the outside of it. And so that's why I ended up doing the tops of it last, so it could lay nice and smooth. And then I had went back and touched up anything that needed to be touched up. And once it was done, I went to go ahead and put it with the rest to dry. I had already started on the paint. This paint is a little bit thicker than what I'm used to, so it kind of did take a little bit of time to work in. And as you can see, it's not as fast as when we had did the top. But this is what it ended up looking like after the second coat. It did dry to touch pretty quick, but it says that you're not supposed to put anything on it for at least 7 days. So that's the only thing, is that if you want to use it pretty quick, you would have to wait the 7 days. But I do like it better than the other paints that I have used in the past, just because I noticed when you put stuff on top of it, it does end up sticking to the paint and leaving the marks from whatever you put on theirs. This is what the inside ended up looking like. I ended up loving how this cabinet ended up turning out. If you guys did too, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to have a happy new year. And as usual, I will be back with more videos. Bye!